Hey YouTube, it's me, and I'm going to make a really long video for you, and I'm going to ramble a little bit through the story of my life. I was born in Columbus, Ohio, and my parents are from West Virginia, and I have a younger brother, Mark. I just want to do music. Like, I don't need to learn theory or anything, Mom. I gotta sing, I gotta write. Me and Rick are so into what we're doing. I don't think I can wait 3 or 4 years. And a friend of a friend mailed him our stuff, and we paid him to do it. At the time, it felt like he was kind of doing us a favor. You know, like when you go to those barber shops, you know. I can't think about anything else. I feel like I'm possessed or something. So that's what they did. And I was able to go out and buy a whole bunch of recording equipment, and Rick and I started recording our first album. My mother probably believes in me to a fault, I would say. That's fair. To a fault. She thinks I can do anything and be anything, and so... I'm not saying my dad doesn't, but he's definitely a little more skeptical. They make a good balance between the two of them. The Chillicothe music workshop or something like that. And they had students going to this school learning how to be recording engineers. And they would take local bands and record you for free. However, the engineers were students, and if you paid for all of the tape, you know, the recording tape, they would do all the recording for free, and then the students engineered it and mixed it, and it would take kind of a long time. You'd be there all day just to record one song, and that wasn't mixing or anything, just the engineering. And you know, so it was, you know, like when you go to those barber shops, you know, the hot seat something here for them to sing, the students cutting your hair, you know, got the supervisor looking out over you, but every once in a while I thought, man, if I could come up with a better lock, or if Dave could come up with a better lock, you know, we could go into this business having these automatic locks. You know, that's where I was, that's where my opportunities were, that's what I knew, and that's what I did. So, you know the story. The record label hears it, they fly in. I know where we get these dumpsters, I know how much these locks cost. I mean, I could just call these people who make them, and 2 or 3 months later, one of them finally offers you something, and voila, our first album was just a self-titled album called The Walter Eugenes. Riblet, and I said, hey, I have this automatic locking device, and he said, oh, that's great, you know, but we already have a but the ones you don't work, and he's a franchise. Oh, patent, it's worth something. So ours had novelty, and it did not infringe on theirs, and we showed it to them. They agreed. Big old box of candles, and I'm going to ask them if we can this too. And to me, I signed a 12-month lease, and what I said to myself was, these candles are amazing. We've never seen anything like them. They had all this texture. They were cut with a chainsaw to length. They had this rough look on them. I'm going to have because we did have a little bit of money, and we were making enough to survive. A really unique-looking candle at the price of a normal candle, I guess, a cheap candle, and still make a good margin on it. And we were doing all this out of my mom and dad's garage. So I said to the lady, I said, well, who's the best rep? How do you sell candles? She's like, oh, we have a rep groups that come in and show us new lines. And I said, well, who's the best rep you've got? So she gave me 2 or 3 names, and she says, but this one lady, nobody can sell like she can. So I called that lady, and I said, look, my name's Paul Robinette. I've got the next biggest candle in the world right here. You got to sell my line. Of course, she laughed at me, and 6 months later, me being persistent and sending her samples and telling her how well they were doing, she decided to take on the line, and the rest is history. So there's a lot more details, but the point is we were doing about $30,000 a month in sales of candles out of my parents' garage. We ended up moving into a building, and now comes another major revolution for me as a human being, and a major change in my life. I had created a factory job that I hated, and I was already on to the next product in my mind. And now we've got invoices, we've got taxes to pay, we've got... I'd sling paint on the ceiling. People would walk in the door and I'd be covered, literally covered in paint, and have to grab the handle and not get paint on it, and they'd come in, they'd laugh, then they'd go tell a friend, there's this crazy guy down there and there's paint everywhere.